Alright, welcome to this episode of Small Bike Stuff. I finally got this thing dynoed. Take a look. Now, I had originally planned to do a full-on video vlog style at the dyno, but as soon as I turned up and with the ECU that we have, I quickly realised that I was actually going to need to be involved quite a bit, so I just chucked a GoPro up and hit record, and it went flat, and then I changed the battery about an hour later and got some more footage. So let's have a bit of a rundown of what exactly has happened here. So back to the start, let's go back to the start. This is a Honda Wave 125i. This engine is basically where the Honda Grom or MSX 125 engine came from, the Honda Monkey 125, the Honda Super Cub 125, the Honda Dax 125, and the CT 125. 5 models all have this same motor or power plant inside it. And originally the first bike to ever have the 125 with this block shape was the Honda Wave back in 2008 or so. I think they turned it into the PGM-FI 125cc fuel injected 4-speed, which sometimes is 5 and sometimes is manual depending on what you've got. This is a semi-automatic, and this one is from 2015. We've done a 143cc kit. If you already think I'm waffling on and talking too much, go and check out my other videos where I show you all of this stuff. So we took the plastics off the bike, we took the engine out of the bike, we stripped the engine down and found there was damage on the piston and the cylinder. We rebuilt the top end, then we started the bike for the first time, and then I did a video saying we're going to the dyno soon, and now we've done the dyno video. Well, we've done the dyno, so here we are. Dyno details. So this is a local outfit called Dino Power here in Tauranga, New Zealand. I had affiliations with them. No, I didn't have affiliations with them, but I know people that have used them before to tune big turbo motorcycles from a previous job that I used to do. And I called up Brent, who's the owner, and said, hey, would you be interested in dynoing this bike? He's like, yeah, I don't really do bikes anymore. But I said, look, let me bring it down to you and show you it, and show you the ECU and see if you're keen. It's a little tide drag bike, and he was somewhat interested, as you would be, I think. If you do this kind of job, being a dyno operator and getting the most power out of things you can, I guess, stuff that you or I find fascinating, like 1,000 horsepower vehicles and stuff like that, become quite normal. So something like this is actually quite fun and out of the ordinary and different. So I showed him, and I had this anticipation because the app that I've got, which is a full stand Next ECU, which is made specifically for the Honda Wave 125, they make them for the Honda Grom, they make them for a few other bikes, and I'll do a full video on exactly what this ECU is capable of soon. I felt like it was a little bit dismissive. I was like, man, we have to do this all through the app, like, isn't that going to be annoying? And I guess I shouldn't have second guess the guy because he was 100% keen. I called a couple of days before just to confirm, hey look, you know, we're still doing it through all the app, are you happy with that? He said, yeah, we'll make it work. So when I turned up on the morning of the dyno, they were just finishing off a Nissan from the day before, so check this out, this sounded pretty cool. My gosh, it was loud. I'd never been in a dyno room before. It's enclosed, there's ventilation, and so there's fans that are really loud, and the car's amplified. It's got a wideband up the exhaust in this case, so it just kind of changes the sound of the exhaust and kind of amplified everything, and my gosh, yeah, it was so loud, but super fun. It is a car dyno, so we were just using one rear roller of this car dyno, and it did the job. However, Brent did warn me ahead of time that the power could be slightly ambitious, like the reading that it comes out with. But it came with a 150cc injector is what I'm trying to get at. So I replaced the stock injector, or Kaz actually replaced the stock injector because I was out picking up parts, and put a bigger injector in there and started this thing up, and yeah, tried to open up the full stand Next ECU app, and unfortunately we couldn't reduce the fuel input enough on that injector to even make it anywhere close to being where it needed to be. ran home and got the stock injector, and I came and chucked that into the bike. All my plastics. I had to take them off, swap injectors. But we're getting there. I've got the aftermarket injector up here. It's just a 150cc little injector. This one here is stock. It's the Kian one from Honda, so I don't actually know what the rating is, but let's just say it's 125cc. I don't really know much about injectors. I think that's how they work. After the bike was running terribly and I replaced the injector, I kind of didn't actually film the replacement of the injector or anything like that. Started it up though. I had the camera going again and we started to do some pulls. If you don't know much about a dyno, basically the rolling road is to provide resistance or load on the bike, so you can test it as if you're on the road at wide open throttle with a person on it. We had the bike on the roller. He was getting it up to 30 kilometers per hour, loading it up and then doing a roll on from there. I'll show you shortly what we did on the app, but I'll have to explain a few things, and this is going to cross over into the app video as well, because I need to make a specific video of just about the app. There are limitations and there are things that are good about it. So if I turn the ignition on now, I should be able to connect to this app, and I'll bring this camera over here. So this is the full stand next ECU app, and this is what it looks like for most people. This is what it looks like when you start it up. So I've already done the connection, so it's connecting up at the moment. We should be within range of the bike for it to work, so that's okay. And start. Come on, set up data. No. Are we too far away? Awesome, so we're connected now. You can see down the bottom left there, we've got the 3 blue bars, which means we're connected. And we'll run into the tune screen at the moment, and these are all the different options you have. We were playing with injector, ignition, and compensate only. So we started on the injector screen. You've got a basic and you've got an advanced tuning screen. Once you start doing advanced tuning, you need to be careful, because if you go back into basic, it'll reset all the advanced tuning. So you've got to be careful that you don't reset everything. And this is the map that we ended up with. Now I want you to understand that all these were 0 when we started. And what these numbers mean is a percentage. So that's negative 10%, that's plus 2%, plus 20%, plus 25%. And the maximum you could go down by in the range and the whole map was 10%. So when we had that bigger injector and we made the whole map negative 10, which is the max you could do, and it was still far too rich. So then we had to change the injector, and then we started playing with the map. So you can see down here at low throttle, we've gone a lot more fuel. And then, for example, up here at wide open throttle, we've gone for a lot more fuel. We've gone for less fuel here. Oh, we won't touch that. We don't want to change anything. We've gone for less fuel across here, which is a lower load. And see, look, it's disconnected. So this is the issue with the full stand next ECU, is that you just do end up having a few connection issues. Regardless of how close you are to the bike, it still seems to disconnect every now and then. So that was definitely frustrating, but it still did the job. So we have to jump back into the screen here, go into advanced tuning. And as you can see, we've just changed the fuel percentages. We had a wideband up the exhaust, we'd do a pull on the dyno, and then adjust things on here in the rev range where we felt was appropriate. See, I can highlight those cells there and make them less, or I can make them more. I can do all that kind of stuff there. And every time you change something, you need to hit send to the ECU, otherwise it won't remember it, okay? So we didn't send that, so it won't change, so that's fine. And we'll go back here, we'll go into ignition. Yep, sweet, we'll go into advanced. Data loading, and you've got the same screen here for the ignition, so you can go negative 50 degrees up to 3 degrees advanced, okay? And so we've gone 3 degrees advanced throughout the whole rev range, basically at wide open throttle. Apart from right up there at the top, we lay off it a bit. What we also did is, because we started to run out of limit with the injector, we couldn't add enough fuel in the top end. We were up to that 25% maximum. So what we did is we went here into the compensate. And this is basically when your bike, it says water temp, but in this case we're actually talking about oil temp or engine temp. When the bike's negative 10 degrees or the engine's negative 10 degrees, it adds a ton more fuel, right up to 10 degrees, 20 degrees, and this is all Celsius. So when the engine itself is up to temp, about 70 degrees, it's putting in quite a bit more reasonable amount of fuel, so it's not having to put in so much. This was lower, So this was only about 600 or 500 when we started, and we've chucked it up to 800. So basically what it did was increase the whole square map that you've seen before up a few points, and we then went through and managed that map again to kind of adjust the other parts that didn't need more fuel. It did seem to work, so we got a pretty usable state from this application in this ECU on the Dyno. I will go into more detail about all these other things: idle, ramble, digital I/O, which is your anti-lag and launch control and flat shift and all that kind of stuff. VTEC, which I don't have sadly, not a Honda. Well, it is a Honda, but VTEC won't fit on this Honda. It's got an AFR reading there, and it also has another AFR reading on, say, the fuel maps screen, but we don't really pay too much attention to that because we had a wideband up the exhaust and we were tuning it to the wideband. So if I started this now and accelerated and went through the rev range, you'd actually see this go in red and then go blue and then go green and like go all over the show, but that's because it's coming from the O2 sensor, which is up on the head of the engine. So it's not actually the most accurate reading, it's in front of where it needs to be, so we put a wideband up the exhaust and it was, yeah, quite a bit better. Anyway, that's about what we did with the app. The question on everyone's mind: how much power did we get? Well, I did actually film a little bit about that at the end of the dyno. I managed to stand there and talk to the camera, so you can have a look at this. Although we have it 13 kilowatt, let's go have a look at this dyno screen over here. So yeah, 13.1, which is pretty wild if true. However, we're using a car dyno and we're just using a single rear roller. We've had to change from the 150cc injector because that was just over fueling, and there's my two other ECUs. So there we have, it made 13.1 kilowatt at the wheel on the rear. That's around 19 horsepower. What we've assumed, and based on previous motorcycles he's done using a single rear roller on the dyno, we're going to basically drop it down a kilowatt. So reasonably, we're looking at about 12 kilowatt, which is about 16 horsepower, which makes quite a lot of sense. We've got a 143cc engine, so it's gone from 125 to 143, an extra 18cc, and then we've got bigger valves, bigger cam, we've got a much bigger throttle body, and we've got quite a bit more fuel going in through the stock injector now. So it did its job. It's bloody cool. If you want to see more about that app, watch my video about it. I'll release these videos at the same time. And yeah, is it worth using that app to tune your bike? Watch the next video to find out. I had fun. It's tuned. It works now. And I'll of course do some videos in the near future of this and riding. We'll go to the drag strip sometime. Anyway, I'm going to play with the app now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.